Grace and peace, good people. Hope everyone is doing well. Holding my mic. Love this little mic. That little back, there's supposed to be a clip there, and that clip would hold it right here. But I dropped that little clip somewhere in my truck, and it is now sitting somewhere under my seat, or beside my seat, or somewhere in there. Either way, it's all good. Day three. Day three of the challenge that I've given myself to come on here and upload and talk to you all about my experiences, how I got here as a safety professional, my journey. You can see I'm in a hotel room. That's a big part of the journey, getting out of your comfort zone. But I'll start, we'll back up a little bit where I left off on the last video. I think the last thing I talked about was leaving or being at the place where I was with the company that makes tissue and all kind of paper products and let's see, cups and paper towels and things of that nature. That was a great experience for me because I learned a lot, but also I ended up with some really great relationships that led to me being here where I am. While I was there were several times where a particular contractor was dealing with the person that was my direct, that I directly reported to at the time. And that person was not very user friendly. I guess I could say it that way. Tact wasn't his strong point, nor was flexibility. But it helped me because it helped me understand that that was something that was necessary in order to come to a common ground and actually fulfill the mission as a safety professional. One of the things I noticed that everybody noticed, it's easy to fall back on the rule book all the time, but there are nuances to this thing. There's also battles that you want to fight and battles that you don't want to fight. Sometimes it's best to seek a reasonable compromise. And that was one of the things I learned while I was there in greater degree. I understood it before because as an inspector for the fire department, I dealt with that daily. And the funny thing is, in their wisdom, the writers of fire code as well as safety codes realize this, that there are some times where you can make provisions for people to do alternative things and be safe. So those were great lessons that I learned there. There's more stuff that I'll come across at a later time. But when I left, or when I was dismissed, the way that I was dismissed was disturbing because it called my integrity into question, and I'm adamant about maintaining that. I've heard it said that a man that does not have a good name does not have anything. I found the fact that I have a good name was very beneficial to me. Had I not, I would not be here. I don't know. I wouldn't be here for sure. But because I had a good name and I had a good relationship with this contractor, when I started my business, um, got everything set up. Because again, I was working behind the scenes, getting everything in place anyway, because I saw the writing on the wall. Um, when you go from a very good, very almost great employee review, and then 30 days later, you're put on a performance improvement plan, there is something vastly wrong there. I later found out what that wrong thing was, but I won't go into detail about it because it's neither here nor there. But what matters here, what I'm saying is this: guard your integrity, guard it fiercely, guard your name, guard it fiercely. Be wise in how you handle situations because any one little thing can jump up and bite you later on. Because I had a good relationship with with the company that I'm contracted with now, they brought me on. They didn't have to do that. They could have said, well, while he was here at this particular place and worked with us, he wasn't too good to deal with. He was, he always gave us a headache, and when he came up, there was no solutions. He wouldn't answer questions. He just asked what the books say, and people don't like you being vague. That's a video unto itself, isn't it? People don't like you being vague. I remember standing with a person that I reported to and him being asked by a contractor, what should we do? And and I understand, I get it. It's all because of liability and the possibility of liability. He wouldn't answer the question. The question would always be answered by, you tell me. And it wasn't a you tell me so that it could be a teachable moment. It was a you tell me because I'm avoiding answering this question that you're asking me so that I can avoid liability. But at what point does it go from avoiding liability to being liable for not giving the correct answer if someone gets hurt or killed? It's something to think about. And even now, as I say that, I didn't think about it to that depth. At what point does it go from a possible liability to being liable for not answering the question? I'm not sure what the answer to that is. I'm sure there's an answer to it, and I'm sure someone that is a much more seasoned, um, knowledgeable safety professional that may see this can answer. So if you would, I would love to see that in the comments. All of that, but all of that is about being open and honest with people. When I left that role and got all of my paperwork set up to start my business, you have to start somewhere. So I started knocking on doors, not literally, not literal doors, but figuratively. I was knocking on doors, making phone calls, speaking with people that I knew from years before. And I remember, I remembered someone mentioning, hey, you need to contact such and such person. Um, so instead of actually calling that person, I went to see that person. And I think that got the ball rolling. But some phone calls were made and we talked, and um, it was nice to hear this. This really blessed me. It was nice to hear that Everyone that remembers you, and this is, I'm paraphrasing, remembers you in a good light. There was no ambiguity. There was no, you weren't harsh in enforcing the rules. You actually took the time, talked to the people, made sure they understood, and we got the job done together. It, we're all in it together at the end of the day. Whether you're the contractor, whether you're the person that's overseeing the contractor, at the end of the day, the mission is to get the work done safely. But you also have to take into account that the work has to be done. And some safety professionals don't seem to don't seem to get that. The work has got to be done. So how can we work together to get it done safely? And that can become a testy subject because there's some situations where you get into, I'll give you an example. One of the things that we deal with a lot is working at heights. We work from lifts, whether it's a scissor lift or a man lift. Scissor lift is basically a box with what looks like almost like springs on it, and it goes up, and the people are inside it working on whatever they have to do. There's some places where they're going to get in that lift and go as high as they can, but due to obstructions above them, they can't go any higher, and the work is sometimes just out of reach. So the rules are that they don't stand on rails. What do? The work has to be done, but they can't stand on rails. Well, they can get scaffolds built, but if you're in an emergency situation, how long is that going to take? Or meet them in the middle. Tell you what, second rail, not the top, and make sure that you are staying tied off. If you have to get any higher, you have to get rails built. Why? Those rails can break. And if they break, the person can come falling down, fall on whatever it is, hurt themselves, or fall out, hurt themselves. Again, there are a lot of nuances. And that's just a very cut and dry thing that I threw out, but I think you get the picture. What I'm saying is compromise sometimes has to happen. Sometimes people don't compromise well. It is what it is. But I got all of that taken care of because of relationship. I'm going back to where I was originally. Y'all see I bounce all over. Rabbit, squirrel. Yeah, that's me. But the relationships are very important. Got with that person. They made a phone call. About 2 days later, I received a phone call. We negotiated the deal. I got to work. Perfect timing. Oh, baby, you can burn through some savings when you're not working. Let me tell you. One thing about life, if you're not making money, you're spending money. That's real. So I got to work, and right away I realized that it was a blessing to be working with this small company that I was working for. Now, here's the thing: as a safety professional, that's a consultant, self-employed. Um, you can sometimes run into difficulty with the employees. Now, this is something I'm really going to get into a little bit more later on. But I have a way around that. Something that I've learned and that I use. That person that gives me the most difficulty becomes my project in my mind. In my mind, I'm going to make sure that you and I come to an understanding that, number one, I care enough about you to tell you what you can and cannot and should not do. Number two, I'm going to make sure you understand, or excuse me, or make sure that I can do all that. I'm going to do all that I can to make sure I help you see that you can trust me. That is so key. Once people learn that you can trust that they can trust you to not come in with a bunch of foolishness, that you really care about their well-being, that you really care about them getting home to their family with a little bit of extra cheese in their pocket, they'll pretty much do anything you need to get done, as long as they understand the reasoning behind it. People don't want to just hear rules all the time. They just sometimes I'm just, man, well, why? Why do I have to do that? I had a situation today. A young man, I asked him to do something and he was like, well, why? I said, look, that's what the male wants. Now, you and I both know if you come to my house and I say, look, I've got food in the refrigerator. You can eat whatever you want. You can drink whatever you want. Don't touch my steak. Period. Point blank. There's no questions. There's no ambiguity. It is what it is. You do not touch my steak. My steak. And if you go in there and eat my steak, I'm kicking you out of the house. That's the situation. You're in someone else's home. You abide by their rules. Same thing here. They say, don't do this or do this, and you do it. They've got a reason for it, obviously. So we'll do it, get the work done, and at the end of the day, we'll go home safely. But the trust, when I told him that, now, and another thing is, these guys now know me well enough to know that there is no, when they ask me, well, man, why I got to do, there's no, my ego is not tied into this like that. I like the questions because the questions give me the opportunity to have a conversation with them about not only that, but possibly other aspects of the safety for whatever project we're doing at the time. Questions opens doors. I've seen so many safety professionals that get their underwear all bunched up because somebody asked them, well, why? Or ask them another question after they get the answer to the first question. I'm good with the questions. As a matter of fact, the more questions you ask me, the more I'm going to be able to show you why you should trust me as a safety professional. And after a while, you won't ask all those questions. I've seen it time and time again now where this guy or this lady will be like, oh man, here comes safety. Yeah, they're going to come in the door with this bull. I got to deal with this nonsense. They're going to tell me I need to do this, that, and the other. Until after a while, when they get used to me and know that I'm not about a whole lot of fluff. I just want to make sure everything goes like it's supposed to go. We're safe and we're abiding by the rules. There's some things that are non-negotiables. Once we get to that point and they know what those things are, no problems. Very rarely we have any problems, but they've grown to trust me. Not that I'm some awesome, great, outstanding, knock it out the park guy, but I'm sincere when I talk to people. But the key is, here's the trick. Now I'm gonna give you the trick. You ready? Write this down. They have to know you care. How do they know I care? How will they know you care? Conversation. Talk to them. I know who they are. I know their names. I know where they're from. I know that they're married, not married. I know they have children. Who are their children? They tell me their children. Now, I'm going to be honest. I do not remember like I used to sometimes, most of the time, most of the time. So I don't necessarily remember the names. Some I can remember for whatever reason. But I remember little details about their children, like, okay, my child is 18 and they're graduating next year. they're going to, I don't know, USM, and they're going to major in this and so forth, stuff like that. So when I go back to them, man, how's the family? Now, I know you told me that your daughter was about to take that big exam. How did it go? You remember that? Yeah. Yeah, I remember we talked about it the other day. Okay. Yeah, she did good. And man, bonus points. Oh my goodness. That right there. And I'm not in, please understand, that's not fake. It's just to a degree is who I am. I like these people and I want them to understand that I care about their welfare. But it's not just about them, it's about them and their families. I want to make sure that whatever I do, it gets them back to their families just like they left, but maybe a little better. So they get that trust. Once they start to trust me and know that I care about them, things get so much easier. I've seen safety professionals come on sites and they come on and they want to carry the big stick and they want to be like, well, I'm going to go in here and I'm going to make sure everybody's doing exactly what they're supposed to do. Or by God, I'm firing a whole lot of them. That's the mentality. That's not a good way to go about it. Because yeah, you make a name for yourself, but the name that you make is not the name that is not a name you want somebody repeating around your mother. I can guarantee you that. You might even start with mother. So wisdom is required, caring is required, and understanding is required, and a sincere desire to make sure I'm doing the right thing for my people. And I say my people because I consider them my people. These are, man, some of these people now are kind of like family, but they will tell you quickly, no, I don't play. I'm fair, I'm firm, and I'm consistent. If you're those three things, you're fair, no, it's actually four: fair, firm, consistent, and knowledgeable. Because you got to know your stuff. If you know those things, golly, there's another one. You got to be humble to a degree, because sometimes you're gonna have a situation that you run into where it's like, man, you know what? I don't know. I had somebody ask me something the other day, and I was like, ooh, I should know that. You know what I told them? Bruh, I don't know. That's a good question, but I will be able to tell you before this day is over with. So what did I do? Got my mind out of there. I went and did the research, and I came back with an answer. And I thanked him for challenging me. I didn't know. There's so much you won't know. You can't remember it all. You're gonna forget stuff. You're gonna learn new stuff. Methods are changing. Technology is changing. So things are different day to day. But you have to stay up on that stuff. Long story short, gain people's trust by being sincere, caring about them, and making sure they understand and know that you care. And build those relationships, because without relationships, you can forget it. If your people skills are not good, if you can't shake a man's hand and look him in the eye and tell him what your name is, who you are, what you do, you got a problem. But there are solutions for that. Leadership training would help. Something along the lines of Toastmasters helps a lot. Toastmasters is an organization that actually teaches people how to speak in public. And while you're thinking, well, that's not speaking in public, yes, it is, because I have to do a meeting every morning. And in that meeting, I speak to anywhere from, it can be 15 people, it can be 300 people. So that helps. Um, but you want to, and Toastmasters would eat my lunch because I just said, you don't do that. Toastmasters. They're good though. Shout out to Toastmasters. Um, did it again, didn't I? I guess as I gather my thoughts. But yeah, we'll revisit some of that in depth a little later. This time of day, it's hard doing the videos because my train of thought is not the same. You're tired. You just don't think linearly like you would when you're fresh, like in the morning. So I'm going to revisit in detail some of this, but I wanted to make sure I got to that relationship part. That is so important. I cannot overemphasize that. It's so important. Now it can be difficult um, when you start a new role. Well, excuse me, you start at a new facility, which that sometimes happen too. As you can see with me being in a hotel all over the place. Most of the time right now I'm stationary, but a lot of time the safety professionals and safety consultants are needed in different mills at different places. So you'll get there, you'll be there for a week, 2 weeks for an outage, then go to another place. You could be anywhere. So you've got to learn to be able to seize the moment with anybody when you have a safety issue and let that moment build you up in their mind. What do I mean? I mean, use those moments because they're pivotal moments. Use that pivotal moment to let the trust be established. You got to have a foundation. So the way that you talk to someone, and again, you cannot let your ego guide you. If your ego is on your shoulder, you got a problem and you won't be around long. They will run you off because they'll piss you off. And when they piss you off, it could grow. How can it grow? Because people talk. One contractor talks to another. So be careful. Be really careful. I know a guy right now, he is pretty much ostracized. He's blackballed from the Southeast. He has to go way up north to work. Actually, I know two guys like that. But anyway, hey, any questions or concerns or anything that you can think of, if you're a safety professional watching this, hey, hit me in the comments. I would love to see who you are, where you are, what you're doing, um, and your thoughts about any of this. That would really be great because I'm still seeking to grow myself. I want to be the best me possible. So I continue to train. I continue to get certifications. Continue to seek out new and changing methods to doing things, all in the name of making sure that everybody goes home safe. Much love. Thanks for stopping by. Holla.